This is your brain. It weighs about 3 pounds and it's made up of a bunch of different stuff, but it's primarily soft tissue, water, and proteins, and it's got a bunch of electric stuff going on in a lot that we don't really understand still. Anyways, it's primarily responsible for keeping me, you, and everybody else who's ever lived on Earth alive. So that's pretty important. It's got a lot it has to do, like regulating your heartbeat, giving you cravings for when you're going to eat, and remembering song lyrics that way you don't embarrass yourself at the next karaoke party you go to. It's also the reason why I was terrible at math in high school. So thank you, brain. Your brain is a prediction machine, though. It's always trying to predict what's going to happen next. Like if you're playing basketball and you're trying to figure out where a missed shot's going to go. Or if you're reading a super good book and you're trying to figure out what's going to happen at the end of it. Or if you're talking to your crush and you think that you absolutely killed it, but as you're walking away, you remember that you said something that might have absolutely blew your chances. People all been there, right? Anyways, your brain also likes to make shortcuts because who the heck doesn't? It also likes to make fillers and fill in stuff that isn't actually there. It doesn't care if it's right or wrong, honestly. It just likes to fill something in because it doesn't like loose ends. See, your brain doesn't just observe the world. It likes to interpret it in its own cool, unique way. Not only that, but it can come to its own conclusions and then share with other people. But what if you come to the wrong conclusion? Well, believe it or not, your brain actually rewards you for making and correcting these mistakes in that process. Hear me out. Let's imagine you're walking in the woods at night and all of a sudden you hear a noise coming from the bushes. You could either A, assume that it's just the wind and keep going along your merry way as if nothing happened. Or B, you could assume that it's a big scary animal ready to pounce on you once you had your guard down. Let's say, for the sake of the situation, that it actually was just the wind. But your brain was telling you that it was going to be a scary animal. So you were completely paranoid the entire time and extremely anxious. And technically your brain was wrong. But being paranoid and anxious had you more prepared to fight back if it was an animal. So technically your brain helped keep you alive. I think is pretty important, so is your brain. So you can see how from an evolutionary standpoint why this might be beneficial. But I don't know about you, but I don't remember the last time I came in contact with a wild animal on my way to McDonald's. So I think I'm good. So your brain here assumed the worst to protect you, and yeah, this might have been helpful a long, long time ago. But what about today in everyday life? Dopamine, which is your brain's feel-good chemical, doesn't only spike when thinking about donuts. Studies have shown that it also spikes during moments of new insight and new learning. That little spark of realization, like finally understanding how to do a math problem after hours of trying, it can feel incredibly satisfying, I know from personal experience. But your brain needed to be wrong in order to achieve this in the first place. Over time, your brain gets used to having to push through and do hard things in order to achieve this dopamine hit. Being wrong can often be pretty uncomfortable though. And since our brains don't like being uncomfortable, it encourages us to find another way to solve the problem. It's kind of why we love mysteries, riddles, and good plot twists in movies. That moment at the end when we finally get clarity makes our brain feel really good, like it just finished running a marathon or something. Remember earlier how I mentioned that your brain likes to make fillers for things that aren't actually there? Well, the reason for this is because your brain doesn't like things unfinished. So it fills in something, it could be completely wrong, but it fills in the gap and closes it off and moves on. But when you don't know the information to fill this gap, it creates tension. This arises when there's a gap between what we thought or predicted to be correct versus what is actually correct. This is known as the information gap. It's kind of like when you realize that you don't know something, all of a sudden there's a gap in knowledge and it sparks curiosity. This is why TV shows love ending on cliffhangers, or why YouTubers make pedals like this. It sparks curiosity and all of a sudden we're hooked.
Bruh.
Our brains are wired to fill these gaps, and so your brain becomes curious and it motivates you to seek the information in order to fill it. On top of your brain making you feel good and feeling a sense of accomplishment, there's also some social benefits, not to being wrong, but to admitting when you're wrong. Being wrong isn't a bad thing. After all, mistakes are what make us human and not some AI robots walking around with no emotion. There's something to be said about someone who openly admits to their mistakes. You come across more humble, more open-minded, and trustworthy compared to someone who thinks they're always right. Humans, at our core, are social creatures, and our brains care deeply about what other people think of us. A person who says, "I don't know the answer, but I want to learn," is going to be socially appealing. This helps teams, friends, relationships, and coworkers all work better by admitting to errors and fixing them. So here's the big takeaway. Being wrong isn't a bad thing. It's actually a critical part to expanding our knowledge and to moving forward as a species. And although our brains don't like being told by other people that they're wrong, what our brains do love is catching these errors and learning new information, gaining social trust, and growing curiosity. If our brains didn't enjoy the process of being corrected and then learning new information, then we'd still be living in caves.